it's hard not to.
Yeah, right, okay.
So, who are you? How'd you
Daniel Patrick. So I guess when I was probably about 11 years old, I played football, played sports, was really good at sports, loved sports. I guess that's probably the first time I started using anything. My uncles, my grandfather, they all drank, so I would sneak drinks a little bit here and there, but I think mainly the big thing for me was probably, and I mean, I feel like I was probably messed up internally as a kid, you know what I mean? Like I was different than, like I was raised Mormon, so, and I was always like questioning everything that my parents tried to tell me. And I don't know if that is a good thing. I always thought it was a good thing, but maybe not.
The questioning part?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I didn't know if you're talking about that or the Mormon part.
Yeah, well, I got my ass whipped a lot, like, because we would be, like, sitting down as a family reading scriptures, and I was always like, well, this sounds ridiculous. My parents didn't like that shit at all, but through, playing sports and stuff like that, I think my addiction kind of started from one of the people that ran the football program he sexually assaulted a lot of kids. I was one of them. And so, even though I was a kid, like now I know that that's, there's nothing I could do. But for a long time, especially as you hit, the next few years after that, you start hitting puberty, it fucks with you. You know what I mean? And then, so I was drinking, after that I was drinking almost every day, taking pills, whatever I could get my hands on. So when I was 14, I was hanging out with some people. I was always hanging out with older people, you know what I mean? So they had brought some heroin back from Seattle. And me being a 14-year-old and them being like 21, 22 probably, and I was actually terrified of needles at the time, but I shot it, and just trying to be cool, you know what I mean? And loved it, loved it. And so that continued. My dad got prescriptions for painkillers, didn't take them, so of course I didn't let them go to waste. Like I was taking them every day. And so when I was 15, my best friend, since I was a little kid, he hollered at me. He's like, hey, I'm going to fight this dude over my girlfriend. And of course, I'm like, yeah, I got you. You know what I mean? Let's go. And it was a horrible decision on both our. We didn't know. Like these guys were 19. He's 16. I'm 15. But anyway, we pull up, go up this driveway to the top. It's a trailer. These guys, like I said, they're 19. They both come out and start firing shotguns at the car. I'm in the back seat with another friend. His mom was driving, and my best friend was sitting up front because he was, supposed to be fighting somebody. Blew his head off. So we were stuck in the car for about, 45 minutes. The cops came, we were still hunkered down in the car, because we didn't know what was going to happen, obviously. And I've dealt with that more now since I've been in recovery, you know what I mean? But for a long time I didn't. I just used heroin and, that's it, because that numbed everything for me,
So witnessing something like that, and then obviously the terror that comes along with
yeah,
paralyzed in place.
Yeah, it was, you can probably imagine the scene inside the car. It was like a little Geo Metro, like, small car, too. We're all lucky, really. But, when these guys were like, I don't know, the newspaper made it out like it was a gang thing. And those guys might have been in a gang, I don't know. We were just little skater kids, you know what I mean? Like, we had nothing to do with anything like that. But he was a good dude, man, like, and that's kind of part of the reason why, like, I'm really trying to get my shit straight now, because, like, he didn't have that chance, over a stupid thing, like a fist fight when you're 16 years old. You don't expect that to end that way, you know. And so, which I mean, you know, for a lot of years, I mean, I like because these guys they went to prison and they're out now. And like for years, like I was, you know, like I'd plotted to take care of that shit when they got out, you know. And his dad actually talked me out of it. Made me realize, like, you know, that's not what Travis would want, you know what I mean? So, and through a lot of therapy and just talking about it, like, you know, I'm able to deal with it better now. I don't have, like, because I used to have nightmares about it and shit, you know, like, but immediately after that happened, you know, I'm 15. My dad traveled for Sprint. He worked for Sprint, and we went to Atlanta, Philly, Boston all the time, you know. So my dumb ass is like, well, he's a Mormon. This sounds terrible, but you know, he wore a suit and tie, you know. So when we were going to these places, I would go with him because I got kicked out of school like pretty soon after that. Like they were just like, you know, don't come back, you know, because I was just always causing a bunch of shit. So like Atlanta, started getting heroin, bringing it back up here, selling it, you know what I mean? And at first, I mean, I thought it was amazing, you know, because I mean, I was making a ton of money everywhere we went. Like I had a plug, it seemed like, you know, and I was pretty young, you know, like I got myself caught up in some really stupid shit, could have got killed, you know, like, I mean, really lucky that I survived all that. But at the time, like, I thought, you know, I've got the world by the balls, like, you know, I'm making money, I'm going to concerts, I'm doing whatever I want, you know. But I was also using a ton, you know, and that went on through my teenage years, you know, and then when I was 18, I met a girl, a piercer at a tattoo shop, and she ended up pregnant, we got married, and I was like, well, I've got to stop selling drugs and shit, you know what I mean, like, I'm not going to be around for my kid, and so I did, and I got a job at a Dairy Queen, actually. And I realized real fast that I was really, really hooked on heroin and just everything, really, but especially heroin. Didn't have all that money coming in, didn't have access, you know what I mean? And it was really hard not to just go back to that, you know? So my brilliant idea was, well, I'll go to a methadone clinic, which at the time, like, I didn't know anything about rehab, you know what I mean?
I mean, for somebody in that position, that's a pretty responsible idea to come up with.
Yeah, it was, and I mean, so when my daughter was born, and if it hadn't been for, actually, and I just now kind of put this together, which is kind of crazy, but like, so her mom left when she was about 6 months old. She just took off, you know, and she was an addict too. So here I am at 19 with a baby, 6 months old. I'm like, what the fuck am I gonna do with a baby? You know, I have no idea what I'm doing. And of course, my dad was around, and my brother, and they babysit for me while I worked. But if it hadn't been for her leaving, like, I would have went back to selling drugs probably, you know, like, because that would have been easier for me, and I would ended up dead or in prison.
So it's like this game of chicken, who's gonna leave first?
Yeah, I mean, because she left, and I was like, okay, well, and I mean, I could have given her up for adoption, you know what I mean? And I mean, I thought about it. Somebody tried to adopt her, like somebody that went to her mom and her mom's parents, their church. Somebody wanted to adopt her, and I almost did it. And I still sometimes wonder, like, would she have been better off, you know, if I had have? So, but my daughter saved me. She really did. Like, if I hadn't have had her and been trying, I would have went right back to Atlanta and picked up a bunch of heroin, and you know what I mean. I went right back. I mean, you know, so. She saved me. She really did, man. Like, I mean, I raised her by myself, and I was an addict, you know, and she knew it. She pretty early on. Like, you know, kids aren't stupid at all. Like, right. You know, I remember going to the methadone clinic and picking up liquid methadone and coming back, and she was like, "What is that, Dad?" You know, and I'm like, "Oh, it's just cough syrup I smoke." And she, you know, she's like, "Yeah, all right." So. She knew, but man, like, we were close though, you know, it was kind of like us against the world, you know what I mean, like, you know, we just kind of had that mentality about it, because I mean, you know, I was struggling, trying to figure out how to be a dad, you know what I mean, and not be, I didn't want to be an asshole dad, but I didn't want to be her best friend either. But I wanted to be in the middle, and that's a fucking slippery slope right there. It's hard. I mean, we're really close to this day. Like, she's 23, she's got 2 sons. I have grandkids, which is crazy, but you know, she turned out pretty good considering I'm her dad. Like, you know, I feel pretty good about it. You know, even though, like, I mean, I know I fucked up a lot. You know, I mean, it's just. Which I don't think you can be a parent and not fuck up. Like, it's just, it's hard. I mean, even if you really got your shit together, it's hard, man. Like, you know. But, you know, I mean, I feel like if I hadn't have done that, like, it's hard to tell where I would ended up. And I'm still lucky I'm not dead. Like, I mean, I don't know how many times I've overdosed. Like, and, you know, somehow I'm here for some reason. I mean, I don't know why. Maybe, I'm figuring that out, I guess, still, you know what I mean? But, like, she never, I don't know, she was different. Like, if I overdosed or, you know, I ended up in jail, you know what I mean? Like, she was always had my back, you know? So, you know, and I feel like, you know, that was a huge thing for me. And like I said, I doubt I would be here if it wasn't for that, you know?
For sure.
So,
For sure. So, you tried to tighten up when she was born, and how did you get from there to where you're at?
well, like I said, I stayed in the methadone clinic for 15 years, man. Like, of course, I was still doing other shit, like, the whole time, so it really wasn't working. I found out you could shoot it. I was like, well, that was kind of, you know, the beginning of the end right there for that. But, like, I mean, to an extent, like, I mean, it did help me, you know, because I was able to work. I mean, and I've never had a problem working, you know, but. So, I mean, financially, I took care of her. I was there, but at the same time, like, I know I was also not there a lot, you know. So we've had to kind of work through that. But I guess first time I tried to go to rehab was probably about 2016. Tabitha worked there. I met Tabitha, and you know, I got through 28 days, and I was like, shit, I haven't put together a day since I was 14. You know, I was like, I got this. You know, went back. I was like, well, I'm gonna have a few beers, got some Heineken. I was like, you know, I got this. I can celebrate. Had a needle in my arm by the end of the night. And the second I went back, because I remember being so proud of myself, you know, and because I thought that was a huge thing, you know. And so I went back, and I went to probably 3 more times to this same place. Tabitha and I don't know if you know Josh Johnson. They were both there the whole time, and I'm very thankful, because if it wasn't for them, it was a shit show. Like, it was a terrible rehab, but I made the best of it. But, like, every time I'd go back out, I just always had this, you know, mindset of, oh, well, I've got this. I'll learn from last time. I'll just take nerve pills this time, and whatever, some stupid shit. So, the last time I went through that program, I think it was 2019, went to a halfway house in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. Got kicked out over one of the girls in the program, you know, another brilliant idea of mine there. But ended up in Knoxville, and I was trying to stay sober, you know, because I had like 3 months at that point. And so I was like, this is the longest I've ever been clean ever. And so within a few days, I start drinking, you know. And this lady comes up, and she just hands me $50. And I was like, well, shit. So I go straight to I'm drunk, you know. I'm like, I go straight to the heroin dealer, and he gives me a couple points of straight fentanyl, you know. And I knew what it was. Like, I just, you know, drinking, and I didn't think about my tolerance being bottomed out. I did it, and I overdosed. They had to Narcan me a few times. And I remember coming out of that and waking up, and I found out my daughter was going to be having a baby. And I was like, fuck, you know, like, I could have died under a bridge in Knoxville, you know, and that would be my fucking legacy right there, you know. Like, what happened to, you know, Poppy is what my grandsons call me. But, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's not what I want people to remember me by. So, you know, I went back, I went through Mag Ridge. went to an Oxford House, was doing good for a while, relapsed with one of the girls from the Oxford Houses, and was living in Kingsport. And I was just, I mean, I was selling drugs, and I had plenty of, I mean, I had plenty of everything I needed. I was paying a monthly motel, and like, I was just miserable. I had a good looking girl with me, miserable the whole time, because I remembered what it was like, you know, when I was clean. And it slowly just kind of, I don't know, it just ate at me, you know. And I was doing a lot of ice and fentanyl, and I was like, fuck it. And I just called a buddy from Oxford, and I was like, come get me, man. I'm at fucking Model City Motel. Like, and he came and got me. Like, he literally left work, came and got me, took me to detox. And like I said, I had a nicotine vape. They kicked me out. So I literally detoxed here up with Chad upstairs. And it was rough. Like, I mean, I'm sure they were like, he's not going to be here. But a couple, you know, and I mean, I don't know how I made it through it, but here I am, you know, like, I feel pretty good about it now. Like, I mean, I've been here for about 3 months. I know Tabitha very well, obviously. I know Scott, which is my sponsor. So I feel like I'm in a really good place, you know what I mean? Like, I'm very lucky that I'm alive, that I don't have any, you know, serious charges against me or anything, you know what I mean? Like, I was getting ready to move to Alaska, dude. Like, the girl that I was with, she was Eskimo, she was from Alaska. And so I was high, I thought, I'll move to Alaska, you know, I had the ticket and everything, and I'm glad I didn't, you know. She did, she moved back with her son, who, you know, but yeah, I was really glad I didn't do that. That would have been a bad move, but
So what do you think caused you to put together 3 months? Like, what's your staying power?
Man, I don't know if it's just I feel like I've made so many mistakes, and because I'm that kind of person, like, you know, because they were telling me to do the steps and all that this whole time for like the last 15 years. And I was like, well, that sounds like some Scientology shit to me. Like, I gotta get a mentor and tell him all my shit and level up, like, you know, and it just did to me. And so I guess I'm just stubborn as shit, and I've got to make the mistakes that I've made, you know. And so here I am, I feel like, and I am working the steps now with Scott, and I don't know. I mean, you know, I feel like that's helping. It's kind of helping me just figure out, like, some of my own character defects, and I finally just listened to people saying, shut the fuck up and listen, you know, like, then that's kind of been my motto through this time, like, just shut up and listen, and just, you know, do what people are telling me to do, man. And, you know, I think having my daughter, having children now, and like I said, like, I could have died before they were even born under a bridge, like, you know, and like, I went through a year of college back when she was younger, and I've always wanted to go back to school. That's kind of what I'm working towards now, because I guess just thinking more about, like, you know, what, and I don't care, like, you know, like, people remember me by whatever, like, you know, that's not really a big thing, but like, there's just certain shit I want to do. Like, I want to go get my degree, and that's a huge thing for me, you know. Like, I mean, and I mean, you know, I hope people remember me well, you know what I mean? At least better than I probably would have at this point, you know. But like, and like I said, my friend that was killed, like, you know, he's never even had this opportunity, you know. And who knows? And like, you know, I've known a lot of people that have died over the years. I mean, I don't know how many people I've known to overdose. I've found a lot of people overdosed. Some I knew, some I didn't know, you know, and I know a ton of people that were doing, like, really good shit with their lives, that were like 19 in college, you know what I mean, like going overseas and like helping the needy, you know what I mean, and then they die in a car wreck, and I'm like, what am I doing here, you know, like, why'd they die, you know, so just trying to honor those people, I guess, you know, and just hopefully make my daughter, I mean, she's always been proud of me, man. That's the crazy thing, like, no matter what. But I definitely want to give her more of a reason, you know. I want to be my grandsons to see, you know, what it is to be, because I'm actually a pretty good person, actually. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't probably sound that way, but like, you I was raised right. My grandparents, my parents were good people, that I want to pass that on to my grandsons, you know what I mean? Like, because a lot of that stuff's been lost, it seems like, nowadays, so.
What part?
Well, like, just like the way you treat a woman, for example, you know what I mean? Like, I was raised a certain way, and that's just the way I am with it, you know what I mean? And like I don't hit women or any of that kind of shit, I don't cheat on them, like, that's just me, and I feel like,
What's this true? There are a lot of missing parents
Yeah.
across the board.
yeah, and they're just not, like, because for the most part, I had both my parents. Like, they did get a divorce at one point. I was already like 12, 13 years old. But I don't know. And it just seems like some of the things that, like, my grandfather and my dad, like, there were certain things like that they were just like, listen, this is like, and they would beat my ass if I had done some shit like that, like, but, and it's always been like that, I guess. But it seems like now things just seem like they're even crazier with social media and everything like that. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just old.
We're all getting there eventually, right? What book
Yeah.
you got?
It's Ham on Rye, Charles Bukowski.
What do you like about Bukowski?
I just, he cracks me up, dude. Like, I mean, it's kind of like dirty realism and, there's some of the stuff he talks about, like, which I don't know if you want this on there or not, but I mean, there's one part in the book where he's literally just talking about, like, the first time he masturbated. it's hilarious, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I guess it's not for everybody, but
Oh no,
he's
Bukowski is not.
yeah. I mean, he just says what I mean. That's the thing. You're sitting there reading. It's like he's just literally talking about, like, stuff that happened to him, weird stuff that he remembers with such great detail. It's just crazy. But I'm trying to read this before I go to the Parallel Universe book. I've already read it once, but it's just a lot. There's a lot of stuff in there about quantum mechanics and string theory and just stuff like that, which I enjoy. Not everybody would, I guess, but
Also not for everybody.
yeah, definitely not. I don't think anything that I read's for everybody, man. Like, I read Nietzsche, Genealogy of Morals, which is a really good book. I mean, but again, it's probably not for everybody, you know what I mean? I don't know. It's just, I'm weird. Like me and Jack over here, like, we read a lot of the same shit, so we get along real well.
What's your favorite thing about your life today?
Just, well, I mean, you were in Healing Appalachia. Like, that was my kind of first thing where they were like, you want to go? And I was like, sure, yeah. And they're like, can you stay clean? I was like, yeah, of course, But I didn't know. I mean, to be honest with you, I was kind of scared about it. Because, I mean, I got offered a lot of shit up there, I mean, I guess I look like I get fucked up. I don't know. But people were coming up to me with all kinds of shit, man. And, but I didn't have any issue. Like, but I didn't know that, But I wanted to see Arlo really bad. I love Arlo McKinley. So going there and just having so much fun, and being sober, like, it was cool, so, like, because, I mean, when I first heard about sobriety, I was like, man, these people were doing H&Is. I was like, this sounds terrible. Like, this is going to be horrible. I'm never going to have any fun. These guys act like they're having fun, but their lives seem really shitty. And I'm
I'm the one sitting in rehab.
Yeah, I know, right? And I mean, I guess I'm so negative with some stuff sometimes. Like, I automatically, or like, like, people tell me, like, this is great. I'm like, no, it's gonna be terrible. And I guess I just had to learn, that I can have fun. You know what I mean? And just, I've met a lot of really good people. Like, and slowly, like my sister who's Mormon, and which I'm an atheist. So, like, they look at me like I'm, like, you're going to hell and this and that, blah, 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 which, well, Mormons don't really believe in fiery hell necessarily, but, they definitely think I'm, on the wrong path or whatever. But she's been calling me, like, like, she called me on my birthday, and I was like, well, fuck, like, it's crazy because we hardly ever talk, like, and I mean, I'm still like that with some of my relatives, I mean, so it is what it is, you know. But like, you know, slowly kind of building relationships back, and people who that really know me and know about like all the stuff I was just talking about, like, you know, the people that have known me my whole life. I mean, they're just like completely like, you know, it's to them they're just in shock because they're like, you're fucking sober and you're not doing any of this shit. And you're not in jail, you know. I'm like, yeah, I know, right? So it's kind of it's crazy, man. But just building those relationships back and kind of, I guess, being able to have an opportunity to go back to college because, you know, I went for a year and then heroin kind of puts a damper on that. You know what I mean? I was doing well. I just, you know, it's kind of hard to do that when you're using drugs like
It's
that.
a full-time job.
Yeah. So.
When you work a lot of overtime.
Yeah, man. Well, it was like I was trying to tell somebody recently. I was like, you know, it was like running a 24-hour marathon, dude. Like, I mean, it was constant, you know, because and even when I was selling, like, I mean, I was going to Atlanta, Memphis, you know what I mean, just all over the place, all the time, man. And that's what I was talking about earlier. My dad, like I said, I kind of used him, and I feel bad. He's passed away now, but like, you know, I would have all this shit in the trunk, and he would be driving back, and he wore a suit and tie. He was a Mormon, you know what I mean? So like, we got pulled over all the time, and the cops just, and he'd be that kind of guy to get out and like fucking bitching at him, like, you know, and he was speeding, but he'd be like bitching at him, wanting their badge, and I'm like, Dad, chill out. You know, of course, he had no idea what kind of shit I was bringing back, but they never fucked with us, though, you know. But if they had of his standing in the community, everything, like, he would have been fucked, and that would have been my fault, you know. So something I think about now that I didn't think about back then, you know.
Maybe you did, but it was calculated risk you were willing to.
Yeah, I mean, I had to have, obviously, because I was like, "What's this? Is a perfect cover," you know. Which that sounds so terrible now, like, cause, but my dad, man, he was awesome. Like, I mean, he knew that I was using. He knew that I was an addict. That's one person that never. I don't care how many times I called him, like, I'm in jail, got arrested for this. Whatever, you know, like, he always had my back, you know. So he passed away, unfortunately, but that's another reason I feel like I've somehow made it through all this, because he was a great dad. I mean, he was an amazing dad, and if it wasn't for his guidance, me, when I was trying to raise my daughter, and his help, never would have happened. Without him, it would have never happened. I would have ended up fucked off somehow, you know. But I was very lucky with that, man. You know, like, I mean, I feel like I kind of hit the lottery with that, really, because my mom, not so much. Like, she was for like 12 years, and then she left and just kind of, I don't know, seemed like she kind of lost her mind or something. I don't know, man. Like, we don't really talk. She lives in Blounteville, so, but like, I see her maybe on Christmas every year. That's about it, you know. So, and that's fine, you know, it is what it is, but very lucky with my dad. He was awesome. So.
Seems like you're excited about your future.
I am, man. I mean, I want to just get back to going to school, like I said. I mean, you know, like, I work with a bunch of people that go to ETSU, and they're all fucking like 20 years old, 21 years old, you know, but like, I don't know. It's exciting to, you know, to just be like, you know, I talk to them, and of course they're all in like computer science or whatever. Like, I'm into, you know, like I was telling you, I don't want to be a physicist, so I don't know. We'll see, you know. And I know I can do it. Like, it's just I've been procrastinating on it for years. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, well, I've had a kid, and you know, but it's really just been, of course, it's been my addiction too. You know, like, I mean, but I feel like I'm at a point now where, like, I know I'm gonna get it done. You know, I just gotta be patient, like, and not try to. I want all this shit to happen right now. You know, I mean, obviously that's kind of a reoccurring theme with drug addicts, I guess, but. Just be patient and let it happen, you know. Keep working. I mean, you know, get some things back in my life. But
thank you so much.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.